Hello and welcome to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. My name is Kyle Case and I'll be your host on this amazing journey as we attempt to help you get the most out of your life. Joining me in the studio today is my co-pilot, Jeff Harding. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I am hot, Kyle. It's hot outside.
It feels like it's become summer.
We went right from the first of spring to summer after 2 months of it being confused. But we are there.
There was a period of confusion there, but
lovely outside.
Yeah. No longer confused, though. We are now in summer.
We are definitely in summer, yes.
Warm for sure. Well, that's good. You know, it's good to be back. I've been out for a couple of weeks. I've missed the show, and I love doing this show.
Does your seat feel the same? Because there's been several butts sitting in it since you've been gone.
I can't notice a difference. It feels just as comfortable as it always did.
Well, there we go. We must have done a good job.
You did a great job. One of the things I love about doing the show is the guests that we get to have.
Oh, yeah.
Great guests.
Yeah.
I also love the opportunity that I have to do a little research on things that are important and relevant and, just ways that simple things we can all do to live the active life.
Sure.
That's what we get to do. And so today I found something that was very interesting to me. One thing that's really relevant and kind of on people's minds, especially as they age, is mind health.
Right.
Dementia, Alzheimer's, those are real concerns for a lot of people.
What did you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So they're doing lots of research. That takes place in this area. They're finding some really interesting things.
They are.
We've talked several times about the importance of sleep and dementia and memory loss and those kinds of things. Today I want to talk a little bit about certain foods that we can consume that might help push back against cognitive decline.
That's amazing. What are they?
Yeah, well, your interest is piqued right away, right?
Well,
if you can just go to the grocery store and buy stuff that's going to avoid problems down the road, you'd be interested in that. We all would be interested in that.
Now, just promise me the chocolate is on the list.
Okay.
Because that's one of the primary food groups.
Let me make two promises. One is that I can't guarantee that chocolate is on the list. And two is I also can't guarantee that these are cure-alls. They're just, they've done some studies. They found some things that may help in the long run.
Yeah.
None of them are cures. They're just preventative measures.
Right.
But anyway, interesting things. So first thing, berries and your brain. You ever thought about berries as a food that would stave off dementia or Alzheimer's?
I haven't. Is there a specific type of berry or just all berries?
Well, it's interesting. They talk about berries for a couple of different reasons. They found that the foods that you think are good for you are actually probably good for your brain as well. The leafy green vegetables, any other vegetables, nuts, beans, whole grains, fish, poultry, olive oil. They say wine, berries, as I mentioned, but especially blueberries.
Blueberries.
Yeah, they have brain health benefits.
Well, we do get, when they're on sale, we get the blueberries.
Do you get blueberries?
Yeah, we go through quite a few containers of them.
So they found that as early as 1999, researchers have found that feeding blueberries to aging rats have helped them navigate better through the mazes that they'd previously run. But it wasn't until 2010 that studies began showing brain benefits in people who ate berries. And several studies have shown, including one long-running study called the Nurses' Health Study, which followed more than 16,000 women. So significant numbers.
That's a good sampling.
All of these women were age 70 and older, and they found that those who ate more berries showed slower rates of mental decline.
And they were able to do those mazes faster
than the rats even. So they had a successful study.
Yes.
They found that women with a higher intake of berries appeared to have delayed cognitive aging by 2.5 years. So it's like your brain is 2.5 years younger than those who were not eating berries.
Well, that would make a good argument for getting berries.
Yeah, so the question is, why blueberries?
It's probably the dye that they use.
Well, it actually, interestingly enough, it is the color.
Oh, wow.
So, sometimes you throw one out there and you hit it.
I throw enough out there once in a while.
They think that it's the polyphenol phytonutrients, these special antioxidant pigments, like the natural blue and purple pigments in blueberries that actually cross the blood-brain barrier and actually help your brain to be healthier.
So is that, I'm just curious, would that be the same thing with plums because they have blue and purple plums?
They're doing research on that. So they found that they think that that's the thing with blueberries, so they're actually looking at pomegranates and grape juice and different things like that.
Very cool.
But interesting concept, right?
Yeah.
Another thing, if it's good for your heart, it's probably also good for your brain.
Well, there's a connection there. Your heart is the thing that gets the blood to your brain.
Absolutely. So there are several types of dementia and Alzheimer's. Vascular dementia is caused by a series of microstrokes that people usually aren't even aware are happening, but they do damage parts of your brain that are fed by tiny blood vessels. And it's been well established that hardening of those arteries or of those blood vessels are a risk factor for stroke. So brain artery scans done on people who are in their early stage of cognitive decline show that patients with the least hardening of those arteries, makes sense, remain more stable over time. But those with more cholesterol buildup and the most blockage rapidly decline in the ability to think, their ability to carry on activities, and just enjoy life as a whole. So, so again, a heart-healthy diet, low in cholesterol, helps keep your brain healthy as well, which makes sense.
It does.
There's logic to that. So to cut cholesterol, whole plant foods are good for that.
And if you're eating a lot of whole plant foods, you're cutting cholesterol.
Well, right. So plant foods that contain fiber help pull the cholesterol out of the body. It kind of flushes the cholesterol away. And keep in mind, as I said earlier, we're not talking about cures here, and we're not talking about all plant foods. Because like you can say, cereal and bread is a plant food, right? It's made from grains.
It's been processed.
No, we're talking about whole plants like fruits and vegetables. And once again, they take you back to the berries. So berries are good for you for the fiber and the cholesterol lowering reasons as well. And finally, this is the last one that I thought was interesting. Fasting is good for your brain. So we've talked about foods that you can eat. They also say that abstaining from food actually sharpens up your brain as well.
So that saying, I'm so hungry I can't even think, is probably not accurate.
Well, there might be a line that you cross.
Okay.
But initially, they find that short fasts are actually good for you. Nerve cells are more active in the brain during a fast, researchers have found. And it turns out that the brain responds adaptively to what may be considered the mild stress of not having food for an extended period of time. So something to think about.
When I've been going through a fast or a cleanse where you're just doing water, I have noticed an increased sense of mental acuity.
You're more smarter when you do that.
Apparently. but then I eat and I get dumb again. So,
so that's the way it works. Yeah. Well, anyway, just a few things to think about for a very important topic that many of us are worried about, especially as we age.
Top of mind when we can remember it.
Absolutely. So today's expert guest is Kevin Weston. Kevin is joining us from the Live Well Center here at the Intermountain Health Care Centers. He's an exercise science expert and also has been certified as a physiologist from the American College of Sports Medicine, along with several other certifications. And Kevin, we're glad you could join us today.
Awesome. Great to be here.
So just to start us off, what do you think about what I just said? Is that an area that you're familiar with as far as brain health?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any foods on that list that I would say, no
that doesn't belong there.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely those nutrient-dense foods that have multiple benefits. And so, without actually reading, the nurse's study that you referenced is a very paramount study that's used in a lot of peer-reviewed research as a resource because it's such a large subject.
So Kevin, were you as surprised as I was that chocolate wasn't on that list?
As much as I wish that it was on there, I'm not surprised.
Oh, wow.
Darn it. We just keep trying to sneak it in there.
Maybe the next one.
Maybe the next nurse's study will show
I'm sure
the long-term health benefits of milk chocolate.
They were eating it. They just weren't telling them they were eating it.
Okay. That's how it works. Well, Kevin, once again, thank you for being with us today. And we're going to talk a little bit about something that I alluded to earlier in the show, and that is the benefits of sleep. So Jeff and I, we've talked about sleep a number of times and the benefits of it. Kevin has actually found through his research a connection between sleep and weight loss, which is another area that a lot of people have interest in.
Yep.
So what do we know? What do we know about sleep and the importance of sleep when it's related to weight loss in particular?
Well, when it comes to weight loss, there's usually 4 main areas that we kind of look at. We look at physical activity.
Right, the big one. One of the biggest ones.
Food intake, and then also stress management. And then kind of one that, usually kind of gets, pushed under the rug a little bit is, not only sleep duration, but also sleep quality. I mean, because that affects so many different systems in the body. If you're using sleep as it's designed in terms of being a natural recovery, through the different areas in your life where it's usually something that kind of gets ignored a little bit. And so I've definitely have uncovered a lot of different things that can help you in terms of not only losing weight, but also weight management.
So we've talked about the four areas. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the activity, the food, the stress, and the sleep. Mm-hmm. Of those four, which do you think is maybe the most influential when it comes to weight loss?
That's a tough one. I mean, I definitely I'll say probably number one's going to be food intake.
Yeah.
I mean, and then probably 2A and 2B. Actually, it probably the 3. It's hard to say with physical activity and sleep
and
stress. I mean, there's scenarios where you could argue all 3 of those.
Wow, I can see that. You mentioned that not just amount of sleep but quality of sleep. I just wanted to know what effects. Are you talking about sleep apnea or external factors like noise and things? What do you mean by quality of sleep?
Well, there are things that are controlled and uncontrolled. Meaning, if someone has obstructive sleep apnea, that's something that is a medical condition that they're working through. And then there's barriers to our sleep that are kind of self-imposed in terms of lying in bed and being on your smartphone and checking the emails and not really preparing the body, to actually sleep, because you're always stimulating your brain and not really letting your body, prepare for, rest.
That makes sense.
It does.
And then there's that darn alarm that
it keeps going off in the morning every morning, whether you want it to or not, right?
Yep.
Well, you're listening to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life, and we are visiting with Kevin Weston, and we're talking about the importance of sleep in relation to weight loss and in relation to your health. We've talked about the importance of sleep in a variety of different ways, but like you said, Kevin, I think that a lot of people don't make the connection between sleep and weight loss. So tell me this. I don't know if you know this or if you've done research on it, but does it feel like we're, as a society, we're getting less sleep, first of all, and second of all, if that's true, why are we getting less sleep? Why are we not sleeping like we should?
Well, there's the kind of the mindset of, okay, if I want to be successful, I need to burn, both ends of the candle, and so we only have 24 hours in a day. How can I maximize my time the most? And that's, let's just cut into the sleep thing to what may have been, every once in a while I only get 6 hours of sleep. Now, for a lot of people, they're chronically sleep deprived. Where, I mean, if they get more than 6 hours, that's like a good week, or a good night. And if you look at, not to knock on beverages, but you look at the sale of energy drinks and energy supplementation. I mean, I think there is probably to some degree an association between that and sleep deprivation. People are trying to find some way to function.
Well, then I think you'd also add to that. You mentioned earlier the distractions, the electronic devices that are distractions that used to be when you went to bed, there was nothing to do but go to bed. Now there's electronic devices that can distract you and keep you from going to sleep.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, if you ever gotten like a text message in the middle of the night or an email, I mean, we're so trained in our minds to just pop right up and there you go.
Respond.
And exactly. So you never really get into those, deeper sleep cycles.
So when you talk about sleep cycles and deep sleep cycles, that's so important. We know that that's important for a variety of different things, but how does that relate to weight loss? So we've talked about the importance of it, but what happens in your brain or in your body that they think contributes to either weight gain or the inability to lose weight when you're not getting the kind of sleep that you need?
So the first thing that comes to mind is, so we talked about physical activity being one. For a lot of people, if they're not getting good quality sleep, one, the thought of actually exercise and getting out and being physically active is there's not a whole lot of incentive because they're tired, they're fatigued all day. So that's one is the physical components of that. But also in terms of hormones, you produce more cortisol, a stress hormone. You produce more ghrelin, which is the hormone that lets you know that you're hungry, and so your body's trying to find ways to produce energy, and that's usually going to be through appetite, and then you also produce less leptin, which lets your body know that you're full, that you've had enough. And so there's all these different hormones and chemistries that are taking place in order for your body to meet the task that you are requiring it to do. So you really get thrown off balance. I mean, just in every way. Not only are you dragging through your day, you're tired, you're lethargic, but your hormones are not doing their job either. Then we can throw on top of another domino. On top of that one is if you're when you're fatigued, you're more irritable. You don't handle stress as well, and so that in and of itself, throws on another log on the fire. Wow. So sleep is what you're saying. Sleep is, and we all know this. I mean, deep down, I think most of us would recognize that. Wow, there's definitely some areas that I can improve on. But for a lot of people, it's not just sleep quality, but it's also duration too. So speaking of that, what is the optimal amount of sleep that a person should get at night? So at the Live Well Center, when we ask people, how much sleep do you get, they'll say, they throw out a number. Which is probably not true. Well, to a degree, because they'll, once they're lying in bed, they'll kind of count that as, okay, right, I'm sleeping. But they're not. They're lying down, right? So ideally, what the research says is anywhere from really 7 to 9 hours for adults, much longer for teenagers and children. But yeah, that's kind of the recommendation that they give in terms of duration.
Does the duration need to be contiguous, or is that through a 24-hour period?
So it's sleep added together. So if you slept for 7 hours and then you also took an hour nap during the middle of the day. Wait, be careful.
Yeah, no, see, I'm thinking I keep trying to tell him, if you find me asleep at the office, it's just because I'm trying to be healthy.
But then if you nap for a long period of time, then it's going to affect your sleep for that night. Yeah, I find that to be the problem. But you're saying that 7 hours of sleep at night and then an hour nap is actually considered still good quality sleep. Well, I mean, it varies, from person to person. Okay. I mean, there's theories and then there's application through trial and error, correct? Right. But for a lot of people, power naps, just those short 15, 20-minute segments, just gives you a good, jump start, is very beneficial as well. So I found that for me, at least, that's one of the challenges that I have. I don't get enough sleep. I know that I don't. I'm trying to figure out how to fix that. But when I have the opportunity to nap, which is rare, I don't usually get that chance, but when I do and I lay down and sleep, it definitely affects my ability to sleep the next night. So I kind of try to avoid that. But maybe I need to focus more on just a short power nap rather than an hour or an hour and a half or whatever.
I also find that if I take that nap after 2:00 in the afternoon, it has more then it's more likely to affect my night sleep than if it's before 2:00 in the afternoon.
Interesting, and that's probably what works for you. But
yeah,
does research show that that's the case, or does it just really vary for people to people?
It varies from person to person, and for if you are noticing, man, it seems like this is a big struggle, and I've tried different things. This is a conversation that you should have with your physician on what they would recommend, and maybe for some people it's doing a sleep study or some type of intervention to where you can do it through natural alternatives rather than through other interventions.
So that's the next question that I was just about to ask you. So perfect intro. What are the techniques or the strategies that one could apply who is really struggling with sleep? I have to admit, when I lay down, generally speaking, I do fall asleep. So falling asleep is not the problem. It's getting to bed because I've got so much to do in the day. My wife, on the other hand, really struggles to fall asleep, and I think my son is the same way. So what are the things that people can do to help themselves fall asleep and have that good quality sleep that's going to be long-term beneficial to them?
So between you and your wife, you have, sounds like, a sleep duration, kind of challenge.
Yeah.
Whereas your wife, it's a sleep quality challenge.
Yeah, I would say that's probably fair.
And it's common. My wife, for example, when she has a hard time falling asleep because her mind is like a browser, many windows opened up.
Yeah.
And how do you shut those browsers, down? And so in answer to your question, that's probably sounds more, like a time management. How do you
and I think
get
that's
to bed?
true for me? Yeah.
And then for those who are having a sleep quality dilemma, it's what are you doing to prepare your body for sleep? So for some people, it's taking like a warm bath or a warm shower, actually reading a book that's with real pages, not like on a tablet or something with a blue light.
Do they still make those with, like paper books?
They have them in secondhand stores now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're still out there.
They're out there. You can find them.
Yeah. So doing things that doesn't stimulate your brain, as your brain's trying to actually prepare for rest.
Now,
So.
you were starting to get on something about the blue light and its impact on the brain. I think that probably could have a little bit more focus.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that can come from, laptops, tablets, smartphones. I mean, for some people will say literally put your, use something else other than your phone for an alarm and put your phone in another room.
In another room.
Yep. Because we're trained to always look at it and check it.
I'm pretty old school. I have an actual alarm.
You do?
I do.
Is there two bells on top and everything?
It's not. We did have one of those for a long time, but no, it's an electronic. But it does ring. You have to walk over and flip the switch off, and its only purpose is a clock and an alarm.
Yeah.
Awesome. There's probably something to that. I do use my phone, but I turn my phone upside down, so the light is not there. But I do tend to use my phone, and then unfortunately, sometimes it is, as you say, too accessible.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
well, any last minute advice on sleep or motivation, or how do we solve this problem?
Well, we're definitely finding more than just the tip of the iceberg in terms of how much sleep is important towards the overall picture of your health. So I would just set a goal of really, finding out exactly, how much sleep do you get, on a average, daily basis, and just try and set a goal of trying to increase it by a half hour.
Interesting. And so I guess you'd recommend maybe tracking that for a week or 10 days or whatever, because I think so many things about our health we just don't really know. We have this idea, maybe I eat too many calories, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm working out 30 minutes, but maybe it's really only 10.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a good idea would be to track that sleep and then just kind of work towards your long-term goals of increasing.
Because that'll give you a true snapshot of what reality is, which for many of us, sometimes we really don't know what reality is in terms of what our true behaviors are.
Awesome.
Just quickly, if I may, is there a relationship to how dark the room is to how good the quality of the sleep is?
Yes, absolutely. In terms of helping with your circadian rhythm, and absolutely.
Okay.
Very, very cool. Well, Kevin, thank you for joining us today.
A pleasure,
That's
as always.
About all the time that we have, but we sure appreciate you being here and great information.
So would it be a compliment if we said he put us to sleep through the course of this show? No, you didn't, Kim. You did not.
No offense. No offense.
Well, very good. Thanks once again, Kevin. So registration for the Huntsman World Senior Games, it's open, it's going. Things are going very, very well from a number standpoint, but we want to invite everybody to be a part of the games this year.
Come and play.
Yeah, you can register today, right now, at www.seniorgames.net for the sport of your choice. We do have 30 different sports to choose from. Several of them are actually closed because we've reached participation caps, but there's lots of opportunities to participate.
Sure.
The 2016 games, the 2016 dates for the Huntsman World Senior Games are October 3rd through the 15th, and we just want you to come and be a part of it. We have about 4,500 people who have registered so far. This year, as we've been talking about all year, is a special year. It's our 30th anniversary. There's lots of things that we're doing all year long to celebrate that, including giving away prizes, and the prizes have oftentimes included a free registration for the games. One of the best ways to win one of those prizes is to visit us on our Facebook page and to just like us there. That's facebook.com/World Senior Games. And we're posting periodic contests where you can register or participate and win a free registration to the games.
Great prize.
Don't forget to tune in next Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time on AM 1450 or FM 93.1 for the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. And our parting thought for the day is life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. Until next Thursday, stay active.
Bye, everyone.